Imagine waking up before sunrise, hearing the echo of hurried footsteps from hundreds of soldiers marching through the narrow streets of a vast Roman camp. The scent of hot iron mixed with freshly scattered dust fills the air. Amidst this scene stands Caius, a young legionary who left behind the peaceful life of his farm to face the harsh reality of military discipline. Today, you will uncover what it was really like to live and serve inside a Roman fort, exploring every detail that shaped the daily lives of these formidable troops. In the next few minutes, you will follow Caius's journey, from the challenges he faced as soon as he woke up to the strict discipline of the barracks, and even how he and his fellow soldiers shared their victories and hardships. We will dive into the inner structures of the fort, the grueling training routines, and the rare moments of relaxation that kept the soldiers physically and mentally resilient, not to mention the fundamental military hierarchy that upheld the mighty Roman Empire. By the end of this video, you will have a detailed understanding of how one of the most efficient war machines of antiquity functioned. So get ready to step into a true time capsule, where every footstep echoes the discipline and honor of Rome. But before we dive into this incredible story, make sure you are subscribed to our channel and turn on notifications so you don't miss any of our exciting historical content about the powerful Roman Empire. Speaking of diving in, let's begin with the first steps of Caius as he arrives at the fort, a moment that would define his future as a legionary. Caius' arrival at the fort. Caius was a simple young man from a rural village several days' march from Rome. Since childhood, he had heard tales of the empire's great conquests, and at 17, he decided to enlist. His family supported him, giving him a small sum of money and a bronze amulet for luck. The journey to the fort was filled with anticipation. He was eager to see the towering walls that protected the legendary Roman legionaries. The first sight of the fort was both intimidating and exhilarating. Massive watchtowers, banners fluttering in the wind, and vigilant guards stationed at the entrance. Everything radiated power and discipline. As he passed through the massive reinforced wooden gates, Caius was led to the recruitment area, where he received his first instructions and met other recruits who shared his dream of serving Rome. At that moment, he realized there was no room for regrets or fear. The life he was about to embark on in the coming months and years would be entirely different from anything he had ever known. But deep down, Caius felt a mix of pride and duty. He now belonged to the most feared army of the ancient world, the Roman Legion. Have you ever wondered how many challenges a simple recruit faced in their first days? Hit the like button now and help us keep bringing incredible stories like this. And if you think this beginning was intense, just wait until you see how rigorous the daily routine of the legionaries inside the barracks could be. Let's check it out. Daily discipline and life in the barracks. On Caius's second day at the fort, he was assigned his sleeping quarters, a long wooden barracks shared with 7 other soldiers. The beds were simple wooden frames covered with straw. The space was tight, but there was a sense of camaraderie. Each man had to keep his belongings organized to avoid punishments. Within hours, Caius realized that discipline here was as strong as the stone walls surrounding the fort. The routine began before dawn. A trumpet echoed through the corridors, summoning all soldiers to the central courtyard for the first roll call of the day. This was when the word of the day was announced, a password for recognition inside and outside the fort, along with daily orders and any disciplinary actions. Caius was astonished by the level of organization. Each centurion knew intricate details about their men's duties, demanding punctuality and effort. For cavalry soldiers, the situation was even more challenging. They shared their quarters with their horses, making for a noisy and strongly scented environment. Still, everyone knew that discipline left no room for distractions. Those who neglected cleanliness or maintenance were quickly punished. Caius understood that organization was the foundation of military success, and that every small action was part of his duty to serve Rome. If you think living with fellow soldiers was the hardest part, wait until you see the monumental structure of the fort, which made everything even more strategic and fascinating. Essential structures within the walls. Beyond the barracks, the fort was practically a self-sustaining fortified city. At its center, massive storehouses known as horea stored grains and provisions, built on raised wooden beams to prevent moisture from seeping in. These storage facilities were essential for the legion's survival during long sieges or distant campaigns. Caius learned that nothing could be allowed to run out, because a lack of supplies could cost battles or even lives. Not far from the storehouses were the workshops, known as fabricae, where blacksmiths and craftsmen tirelessly repaired swords, shields, and armor. As Caius passed through this area, the deafening clang of hammers striking iron made conversation impossible. However, to him, that sound was reassuring. It meant the legion was well equipped for any battle, and as no fortress could function. Without leadership, administrative buildings played a crucial role in supporting daily military operations. They handled task assignments, payments, and the inventory of weapons. This entire system operated as the fort's brain, reminding Caius just how vital it was for every soldier to fulfill his role with excellence. Did you already know about this level of organization inside a Roman fort? Share your thoughts in the comments and let us know which structure would catch your attention the most if you were in Caius's place. Now, stepping away from these essential constructions and heading to the training grounds, let's uncover how a soldier's life was, shaped not only by discipline but also by constant combat practice. Let's go! The relentless training and the Ambulat. Roman military training was known for its toughness and effectiveness. Early in the morning, legionaries divided into groups to practice battle formations, sword strikes, and shield maneuvers. Rapid marches were also part of the routine, conditioning the soldiers to cover long distances in a short time. Caius quickly felt the physical toll, as he was not yet accustomed to such relentless exertion. The so-called Ambulat were field exercises where the legion left the fort, marched approximately 15 kilometers, and performed battle maneuvers and war simulations. These drills included ambush tactics, the famous testudo, tortoise formation with shields, and even simulated sieges. In many cases, they were forced to sprint back to the fort, driven by officers demanding perfect discipline. For Caius, these continuous drills reinforced the importance of being ever prepared. More than once, he heard stories of well-trained legions surviving impossible situations. According to veteran soldiers, constant practice made battle responses almost instinctive, which explained why Rome had conquered so many territories beyond its borders. Soldiers trained not only their bodies, but also their minds to face any challenge. After all this effort, maintaining their equipment in perfect condition was crucial. So now, let's explore how workshops and repairs ensured the effectiveness of the legions. Workshops, repairs, and the importance of maintenance. For a Roman legionary, his sword was almost an extension of his own arm. The maintenance of weapons was sacred. Any mechanical failure could mean death. That's why the fort's workshops were always bustling day and night. When not in training, Caius received instructions on how to polish, sharpen, and even repair small parts of his gladius, sword, and pilum, javelin. Armor, made of leather, metal, and fastenings, also required rigorous care. Constant repairs prevented cracks and irreversible damage to metal plates. For this, leather workers, seamstresses, and blacksmiths worked tirelessly, forming an essential team for the survival of the entire legion. Caius carefully observed these professionals, knowing that his own knowledge might one day be crucial in an emergency on the battlefield. The Roman army invested significant time and resources into these repairs because any neglect could compromise the efficiency of the entire legion. The Roman mentality of always being ready extended beyond physical conditioning. It applied to weapons, armor, and even the fort's infrastructure. For Caius, time spent in the workshops was more than just a chore. It was a reminder that every detail could make a difference when defending Rome. Are you enjoying learning about the behind-the-scenes life of the Roman army? Leave a like now to support our efforts in bringing you such detailed stories from antiquity. And what if soldiers got injured or sick? The legion had a solution for that too. Get ready to discover the Valetudinarium. Valetudinarium, medical care for the legion. The Valetudinarium was the fort's hospital, designed to care for wounded or sick soldiers. While Roman medicine wasn't as advanced as today's, they had surprisingly effective surgical procedures for their time, along with herbal remedies and various ointments. Caius never forgot his first visit to the facility. The strong scent of medicinal herbs and the quiet atmosphere contrasted sharply with the usual commotion of the military corridors. Doctors and assistants moved between the beds, checking bandages, applying salves, and even performing minor emergency surgeries. Many of these medical professionals were Greek slaves with specialized knowledge of medicine, or Roman citizens who had studied the works of Hippocrates and Galen. The army valued these lifesavers immensely, knowing that a recovered legionary was as valuable as a new weapon. For Caius, it was reassuring to know that there was a structured system in place to keep soldiers healthy and fit for battle. A weakened legion, suffering from disease or untreated injuries, could not execute the emperor's orders, and Rome did not tolerate weakness among its ranks. This medical care was one of Rome's great advantages, allowing many warriors to recover and return to battle even after grueling encounters. But soldiers didn't live by discipline alone. Now let's explore how the fort connected to the outside world through commerce and leisure, bringing a taste of civilization into the military walls. Macella and Tabernae, the outside world enters the fort. Despite the rigid military organization, Roman soldiers sometimes craved a taste of home. That's why commercial areas known as Macella and Tabernae were vital for troop morale. Merchants from nearby villages sold fresh fruit, bread, wine, and even luxury items like jewelry and decorative objects. Caius often wandered through these stalls, looking for something to remind him of his old life. Beyond shopping, the Tabernae served as gathering places. It was common to see legionaries exchanging battle stories, talking about their families, or simply unwinding after an exhausting day. These establishments brought a sense of civilization, offering a brief escape from the highly controlled atmosphere of the fort. For Caius, the traveling vendors also brought news of the empire, fueling his curiosity about the world beyond the fortress walls. The Macella was also where many soldiers handled their pay, exchanging coins for goods or engaging in bartering. This small commercial flow helped local economies and strengthened the bond between the military and nearby communities. At the same time, it provided an escape valve for legionaries, giving them a fragment of normal life amidst the hardships of military service. Can you imagine this level of commercial activity inside a fort? Write in the comments what intrigued you the most about these trade and leisure areas. But for everything to function in perfect harmony and impeccable command, center was essential. Let's discover the Principia. The Principia and military hierarchy. At the heart of the fort stood the Principia, a complex of administrative buildings that functioned as the strategic headquarters of the camp. It was here that the commander, tribunes, and other officers gathered to make crucial decisions, plan routes, and review mission reports. To Caius, this place symbolized power and the weight of responsibility. One of the most emblematic spaces in the Principia was the Basilica, a large hall where assemblies, disciplinary announcements, and even proclamations of rewards took place. The Roman military hierarchy was strict. Each soldier had a role, and any misconduct resulted in severe warnings or even demotion. Yet this rigid structure also provided a sense of order and purpose, as every soldier knew exactly where they stood. The attention to detail in the Principia impressed even the most experienced travelers. Statues of famous generals, honorary, plaques, and proudly displayed standards inspired both respect and fear. Caius understood that behind each artifact lay a history and a legacy that shaped the most powerful empire of the ancient world. Speaking of standards and sacred symbols, it's time to learn about the Aedes, a place that safeguarded the spirit and identity of every legion. The spiritual strength of the Aedes and the standards. Inside the Principia, there was a special chamber known as the Aedes, the sanctuary where each legion's sacred standards were kept. These signa represented much more than mere banners. They were the embodiment of honor, courage, and the history of their units. Every time Caius stepped inside, he felt a deep sense of reverence, even during quick ceremonies. Religious rituals and prayers took place here, reinforcing the soldiers' devotion to the Roman gods and their unity as a legion. Commanders or tribunes often led small ceremonies on special occasions, offering incense and sacrifices for divine protection. For many men, this ritual wasn't just a tradition, it was a source of hope and confidence before a battle. Beneath the Aedes lay a secured underground chamber where the fort's treasury was stored. Guarded day and night, only a select few had access to this vault. Caius had heard stories of soldiers receiving severe punishments for attempting to enter without authorization. After all, this gold-funded campaigns paid the troops and financed Rome's conquests. Keeping this chamber secure was an absolute priority. Did you expect faith and mysticism to play such a significant role in a legionary's motivation? Leave a comment below. We'd love to hear your thoughts. Now, to conclude our journey, let's uncover what nights in the fort were like, the thoughts that filled Caius's mind, and what the future held for these dedicated soldiers. Nights, reflections, and the Roman legacy. As night fell, the fort's pace slowed, but never completely stopped. While some legionaries patrolled, others gathered around small fires to talk, write letters, or play dice. Caius loved these quiet moments. They were his time to reflect on the day's events and plan for the future. Even when exhausted, he found energy to listen to veteran stories about successful campaigns and legendary battles. It was during these quiet moments that Caius most missed his family and his old life in the countryside. But he knew that here, in the fort, he was building a legacy. Every march completed, every successful repair, every battle won contributed to something greater, the expansion and consolidation of Rome's power. This realization gave him strength to carry on, even when fatigue and homesickness felt overwhelming. Day after day, night after night, Caius and his comrades wrote history's most crucial chapters. Life in a Roman fort was not easy, but it was filled with purpose, camaraderie, and pride. For Caius, the greatest reward was knowing that, with every sunrise, he had another chance to honor Rome's eagle and ensure that his name and that of his legion would be remembered for generations to come. Caius's routine in a Roman fort reveals a lot about the organization, discipline, and grandeur of the empire. Between stone walls, exhausting training, lively trade, and sacred rituals, each legionary built day by day the strength that made Rome a giant of antiquity. And now that you have learned more about this story, how about taking this knowledge further? If you enjoyed this journey through time and want more fascinating stories, subscribe to the channel, like it, and share this video with your friends. Thank you for following us so far, and we will see you in our next dive into the impressive history of ancient Rome.